Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday Wake Up Training. Today we're going to be talking about Evernote 101 and Getting Things Done, which is a fabulous, fabulous book. And these two things do tie together very nicely. So I'm going to find my presentation. It's not connecting here, so I will just expand this and do it this way. So, thanks again and for joining us, and welcome to our LEAP training sessions. This is one of our series of continuous improvement classes in the LEAP training program. LEAP, of course, means taking a significant step forward, and that's our goal with all of our training, is to help every agent in the company take significant steps forward at whatever level that you want to be. LEAP also is an acronym that stands for Leadership, Excellence, Attitude, and Professionalism, sort of the four cornerstones and pillars of what our company is all about and what will make for excellence and success in your business if you think about and rely on and put into play all those four attributes. So today, Evernote and Getting Things Done. As usual, we talk about the Buffini approach of habits, attitudes, and skills. Today, instead of a skill, we're going to be talking about a tool, Evernote, and we're also then going to be talking about a habit, because all these things only work if you have good habits and disciplines, and the book Getting Things Done is one of the best books on how to make the best use of our time. And when you're making the best use of your time and getting things done, wow, what that can do for your attitude. Tremendous. So, good morning. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Pardon me here.
Good morning.
Didn't mean to do that. There we go. Close that down. All right, back we go to the presentation. Sorry about that. So, habits, attitudes, and skills. Evernote and Getting Things Done can make you more efficient and more effective. Those are two different things, but they're both extremely important for us. Evernote is one of the best tools that you can use. It is widely used in real estate and lots of other businesses as well. At most of the BHHS national conventions, there is a person there who does multiple presentations on using Evernote in real estate. So it is something very important. It's a great tool. The key is what it allows you to do. It never forgets. The symbol for Evernote is an elephant head. And elephants, of course, are renowned for their memory and never forgetting. And I'll tell you what that means, or what they mean by that. That's their slogan, never forget. It makes things that you put in Evernote forever findable. You can share things across all of your devices. This is a great thing. You can see in the picture there in the graphic, there's a computer, a laptop, a tablet, a phone. I think there's a phone in there somewhere. The key of Evernote is that if you put something down in your computer, it's on your phone and it's on your tablet. If you enter something on your phone, it's in Evernote, in your computer, and on your tablet. I was just having a coaching session with a newer agent last week, and was asking him some questions and giving him some help as he was putting together a listing presentation. And he had asked a lot of questions of these people in his first conversation with them, and he had misplaced the yellow notepad that he had written all the information on. And that happens to all of us. We've all done that before. That's the problem with physical notepads. Yeah, they're convenient and so forth, and getting used to taking notes or doing something on a tablet or on your computer will take a little bit of work to get to. But boy, oh boy, if you stop and think about it, if you had a system where you could never lose it, isn't that of value to you? Now, I'll tell you a secret. You can also, if you like making those notes on a handwritten notepad, and you finish your meeting or you finish your phone call with people, get out your phone and take a picture of those notes on that notepad and put that picture into Evernote, and boom, then it doesn't matter if your kids tear up that notepad or your dog eats it or you leave it in Starbucks or whatever. So, sharing across all devices, you can compose, annotate, calculate, draw, and present using Evernote. And I've done this with Evernote in many different ways. It works on Mac, it works on Windows, it works on iOS, and it works on Android. It was designed for Mac and Apple products and iOS, so it's been ported to Windows. it works a little bit better on Mac things. And what I'm showing you are the Mac and Windows versions of this. I'm sorry, the Mac and iOS versions of this. So first thing to do, go to www.evernote.com and download the software. And one of the first things that you'll be asked to look at there will be, do you want the basic or the plus or the premium plan? Start out, if you've never tried it before, with the basic free plan. That'll give you most everything you need to do. And practice with that, try to use it, get familiar with it, and hopefully it will become something that you say to yourself, wow, this is great, I'd like some more features. If you want to pay $25, $2 a month, $24.99, I think that's the price. This is, I put this together a few months ago. I assume that's still the price, but it's, again, relatively inexpensive. The Plus plan for $2 a month basically allows you to access notes when you're offline, save emails into Evernote, and I'll talk about that. That's a huge element there. And you can add a lock or something if you need to. I've never used that. And then if you go to Premium, you can search in documents and you can turn notes into presentations with the Premium. That's what I do, $50 a year. It's well worth it in my mind. But start out with the free basic and experiment with it and play with it and see whether you like it. So getting started, don't download the app to your computer, to your phone, and your tablet. And be sure to, on your computer, download the app. Don't just use the web-based where you would go to www.evernote and then sign in. Download the app so that you're opening up the app even when you're on your laptop. So download the app to your computer, open it up on to your phone and your tablet, and you'll need to get started on the computer to set up your system and set up your account and all that kind of thing. And then again, everything that you do it on one place, it appears immediately in all the other places. So that's step one, get it all set up. And then here's the key, is let's dig into how you organize things on Evernote. And again, the beauty of it is that it is basically like a traveling file cabinet that you can have with you at all times. You never forget it. Again, most of us have our phone with us 99.9% of the time, some of us 100% of the time. So it's rare that you're without your phone. So the great thing about this is you're out bicycling or on the golf course or whatever, a client calls, emergency phone call, answer the text, please, I'm at the lender applying for my loan and I can't find the accepted purchase agreement. If you're on the golf course or on your bike or sitting at the cigar bar, you're kind of out of luck unless you've got Evernote, where you can just get into your phone on Evernote, and if you've put their purchase agreement into their file on Evernote, you can pull it right up and send it to them right from Evernote. Now, you could go into the cloud as well, potentially, or you could go into DocuSign, but it's a lot easier, I will tell you, to go to it if you've set up Evernote correctly and find it and send it to them. Do by all means get off your bicycle before you try to send it to them, okay? I've tried that and it doesn't work. So the way you organize things, again, Evernote basically is a file cabinet that is with you all the time with everything you need in your business. The way it's organized, why they've chosen these names, I don't know, but it's overall a file cabinet, and they call a stack, that would be what would be a file drawer, one drawer with a bunch of things in it. They call that a stack, and each, what I would call a file folder, they call a notebook, and any piece of paper or file or something that you put in, they call that a note. Why they did that instead of just calling it a piece of paper or a file folder or whatever, I'm not sure, but stacks, notebooks, and notes. The notes are the things you'll be working with mostly, but you'll want to get these things organized to set them up, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you do that. So notes, again, those pieces of paper can be anything. They can be an Excel file, they can be a Word file, they can be a scanned photo, as I just mentioned, or a photo or a scan of a document if you want to take those handwritten notes. And they actually have some software and things that makes it even easier to scan things in. So you can even put emails into there. That's if you pay for the next step up. You can put photos in there, PDFs. You can have active templates that I'll talk about in a minute that you can actually use as to fill out while you're in a discussion with somebody, whether it's a pre-listing discussion, phone call, on a sign call, or a buyer discussion. You can pull up that template, create a new folder for that potential client, and put that template in there and be putting information into that template actively right there in Evernote, as opposed to having to go to Word or something else. You can even put handwritten notes into it. So lots and lots of great things. So Evernote for real estate. How we organize things for real estate. And I'll send this around for you to do this. This is something that I've learned from several sessions that I've sat in from other people teaching Evernote for real estate. I've got books on Evernote for real estate. And here's the way they recommend organizing it and setting up stacks. Remember, stack is a file drawer. So you'd have one, if you stop and think about it, you might have one file drawer with sellers in it. You might have one drawer with buyers. These are active buyers, active sellers. You might have one drawer with prospects, files on prospects and what you've done with them. You probably have a drawer with closed folders and things in there. You might have a drawer with templates in it where you could grab that template, the phone rings, and somebody says, I just saw your sign in front of 123 Main Street. I'm thinking about selling my house. Boom, if you're at your desk or whatever, you can pull up that template, and create quickly a new folder for them and create a note with that template in there, buyer consultation or seller consultation, and start using that template right there. So that's great to know right where to go for those templates. I like to use also Evernote for my action agendas. Action agendas is something that company I was with on the East Coast, we talked about the things that we had to do every day. We called those action agendas, and you updated it every evening or every morning first thing. What have I got to do? Setting your priorities and prioritizing your schedule and scheduling your priorities. And I have several different action agendas that I use. I have ones with client action agenda. I have some with training action agenda and coaching action agenda. I have some with management group action agendas and things like that. Some I share with other people. And you can do that with these notes. You can share them with other folks. I have one, and it would be a good idea, since we are running a business in our real estate business, have one for financial, where you can put your expenses in there, pop things in there like that. And then I have one, and they recommend this one for personal, where you put all your personal things into Evernote as well. One of the things we'll talk about when we go to Getting Things Done, that book, the point that he makes right off the bat, David Allen, the author, don't try to separate the personal from the business in terms of when you're thinking about how you organize your time. One of the beauties of our business is we do have some flexibility, so we may end up doing some personal things during the day when people at a 9-to-5 job are sort of having to fill up their day and not able to take the time off potentially. So Evernote, templates. Let's talk about templates a little bit here. And I've sent these around. I'll send these around again later on today or tomorrow. These are the templates that we've put together for buyer, working with a buyer initial consultation, a listing template, and a pending to closing templates. And we've got basically 4 templates that you can use, and we've gotten feedback on this. I would love it if anybody has other ideas. Hey, Dave, you left this off. Please add this to it. That's great. We'd love to see the different things. Again, the goal of these is especially for newer agents, but even for agents who've been around for a while. You can forget something. I do all the time. I especially forget things on the pending to closing. I always forget about scheduling the pre-closing walkthrough until about 12 hours before the closing. I go, oh, I need to schedule that. So if you're following these checklists, you will make sure that you're never forgetting these things. So, whoops, I think I skipped one there. Actually, I skipped that one. I apologize. I thought I was going too fast there. Skipping a step to the real estate setup for Evernote. A couple of things. When you have these notebooks and you've set up these stacks, seller, buyer, prospect, closed, etc., you'll want to name your file folders, or what they call the notebooks. You'll want to put seller, diamond, buyer, gold, prospect, silver, whatever. Put the word seller first, because it alphabetizes things. And so if you are looking for something, that's the best way to make sure that you can find it and that it's in the right spot. So seller, diamond, buyer, gold, prospect, silver, etc., etc., etc. And then as you go through your sequence, obviously the first thing you'd put in that would be, if you got a new prospect, you could put in there, you know, notes on your conversation that you had with them, any houses you might have shown with them. You could even put together a little action agenda in their notebook for them for, okay, had coffee with them, thinking about buying in 6 months. Make sure to follow up in 30 days. And so you could put go ahead right then, put together, here's my action plan for these people, what I'm going to do. And then you could put things into your calendar, et cetera, to make sure you don't forget them. I always find the more places I have things to remind me to do things, the more likely I am to actually be reminded and do them. So that naming convention is something that is recommended. And you'll see in the little sample that I've got on there some annotations on an MLS sheet, which is one of the great things you can do with this. You can annotate things, and as you're walking through, I've used this tool for taking people out to show houses. I rarely these days give people paper copies of MLS sheets. I usually ask them, of course, would you like me to just send you PDFs of the listing sheets so that you can look at them on your tablets? If somebody says, nah, I prefer paper, I'll give them paper. But it's amazing how many people who would say, yeah, send it to me as a PDF. I'd love that's much easier. I'll look it on my template. I won't get them out of order. I won't drop it. I won't drop them in the rain or whatever. So, and that way, as you're walking through, you can actually even annotate things and make a note here to remind you, this is a problem, this is an issue, they really like this one or whatever. So you can make notes right on that and then send them your annotated copies if you like afterwards. I've had clients who've loved that. Now, does it take some practice and getting used to? Absolutely, absolutely. So, but those are some of the great things you can do with this in terms of that naming. I've already talked about the templates that we can use. Another aspect of what you can do in the never forget point of things is web clipping and email forwarding. This picture here is showing actually sort of a combination of both. I love the email forwarding aspect. Some people in whatever email you use, if you use Outlook, you can create some folders to put, you could create a folder for a client if you wanted to put the emails in there. I like better, and it's frankly simpler, once you've set up, buyer Jones or prospect, whatever it might be, or seller in Evernote, you can, when you get an email from them, then that's something that's important. Obviously, if they're just saying, yep, look forward to seeing you tomorrow too, you're not going to need to save that. But if they say, we just found out that we can qualify for $385,000, but we can only put down, something that's sort of some relevance that you want to make sure you remember, or that if you're in the middle of a transaction, it's something a little bit, you want to make sure you've got it in writing, one of those things that, remember you told me that you wanted to break this contract, that's why I've done this for you, or whatever it might be. You can take that email from your client or from the other agent, and you can forward it right to Evernote. And when you sign up for an Evernote account, you will be given an Evernote email address. And it's something like Evernote and a bunch of numbers and stuff. It's impossible to remember it. But the first thing you do when you get Evernote is you send an email to that address. You copy it and send an email to that address. So with most sophisticated emails, including Outlook, as soon as you type in EVE, it brings that email up and boom, so you can forward emails right to it. It will take it into your inbox, and then you'll have to move it to your clients. And there's a way that you can put it right into your clients, but it's a bit cumbersome, and I'm not going to spend any time worrying about that. But the key is you can forward emails to this. So again, that never forget. So you get something controversial that comes up in a transaction. Oh, I remember she emailed me about that, and that's why we did this or whatever. Where is that email? It's horrible searching for emails when you haven't saved them. Boom. This is a great way to do it. The other one there, web clipping, is you can actually, if you're on the internet and you find a website or an article or something, or a great website or a realtor you'd like to make sure you save, you can go in and you can clip that and clip it right to Evernote. And one of the things that I recommend in Evernote that I didn't put in here, I have it in my personal set of my personal notebook and or personal stack with all the different things in there, and that is I have a reading file. in there, a reading notebook where I put reading notes in there. It might be an article on in the news. It might be something in the Wall Street Journal. It might be something of interest personally that I'm interested in reading about. And one of the things you'll see as we talk about getting things done, if you can do something quickly and deal with it and not have to come back to it, that's a savings of time. So if you see an article, something that you're browsing, looking for something else, don't spend the time right then. You can forward it, put it in Evernote, and know right where it is so you don't have to go looking for it. So you can clip things to your reading note. Again, I've talked about annotation a little bit. This is one of the best features of Evernote when you're out on a pre-listing presentation. And I've done this on a couple of times. They recommend that you can take a photograph usually with your tablet would be better. You can take a photograph walking through the house. Here's something you're going to need to deal with, that leak in the ceiling up there. And how many times have we had where we talk to somebody and then they say, oh, I thought you meant this. Well, you take a picture of it and you then annotate this needs to be taken care of, and you send it to them. Boom, there's no question. So it helps with your communication in that initial walkthrough on a listing, on something that might be just a little bit iffy, to make sure that you understood. Do this, don't worry about this. What a great way to do that with a photograph that you can annotate with things. You can do tour photos, and you can do documents, and you can do what I've learned from the Good Life real estate people out in Austin, Texas, who bill themselves as the paperless agents. They use no paper. I like to think of our approach being more like less paper as opposed to paperless. There's still a place for paper. They came up with this idea of the lifestyle map. When you're talking, doing a listing presentation and talking to somebody, one of the great things that I've done for a couple of listing clients is put together this lifestyle map. When you're talking to them, you show them an example of one. I'm going to add this to my marketing materials. It's a lifestyle map. I want to get input from you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, about what you've loved about this neighborhood. Jog and bike on the Monon Trail. There's a great dog park over there. There's Broad Ripple Galleries and Eateries, Creole food and fresh market, and the perfect home for everyone. So I'm going to put together, based on your input, Johnny and Sally's school, Joe's hole-in-one on the 8th hole here on the golf course that this is on, that personalizes it and shows it in a visual thing for people, which is much more powerful than a list of things. Yeah, Joe made a hole-in-one on the 8th hole just the other day, whatever. So a lifestyle map, give that a try. I think it's a fabulous addition to things that we can use. So that kind of covers things with Evernote. Anybody have any questions here on Evernote at this point in time? It is available. I encourage you to play with it. Again, like so many things I talk about, you can't break it. So give it a try, and I'm happy to chat and sit down with you, either person to person or on the phone, and walk you through things if you run into problems. So let's move on now to the habit side of this issue. And the whole point of Evernote is to help us become more efficient and more effective. So now we're going to talk a little bit about best practices that Evernote will help you incorporate, and that is leveraging your time, and that is the biggest problem that I run into in coaching and training and talking to people, whether they're newer agents or experienced agents, and that is how to make the most of their time to get things done. And that's what it really boils down to. Getting things done is the basic answer. So this book by David Allen, again, it's fairly thin book, and I've read lots of books in my career in terms of time management and energy management and things like that. This one is absolutely, without question, in my mind, the best. First of all, it's fairly thin. So it's not a great, huge thing. It's very simple and very direct in its approach. So the overall aspect of what David Allen suggests in his book, Getting Things Done, that the key to everything is focus. How do we focus on the task at hand? And the primary problem that we run into, of course, is that puppy dog mind. We're thinking about, we're working on, say, I need to put together a listing presentation, or I need to do a CMA for this or that. And then you start thinking about, oh, and then tomorrow I've got another listing presentation, and then I've got this or that. And then I got to take the dog to the vet, and I got to call the doctor to schedule this or whatever. And we get all these things starting to float around in our mind, both personal and professional business things. That's puppy dog mind. And we all have that. The key, David Allen says, and again, he mentions, don't try to separate personal from business. So don't try to do that. The key to all of this is, and to quieting the puppy, is to have what he calls a good, solid bucket to put things in. Part of the reason that we have puppy dog mind is because we know we don't have control over everything that we're supposed to do. If you knew that, yep, I've got that taken care of, I have on my calendar at 2 o'clock tomorrow to set up all the showing appointments that I need to do for that client, so I don't need to worry. If you know that, instead of that coming in your mind, when am I going to set that up? Oh gosh, I need to remember to do that. If you know you've got it in a bucket, wow, if that does come into your mind, you go, I got it. I got that taken care of. So the key is a bucket. So what is a bucket? The perfect bucket is Evernote. What a great place to put things. A lot of people keep lists on paper, and that's a great start. Obviously, you can do that as well. The whole point here of linking these together, Evernote is the perfect bucket to keep things in. Why? Because you never forget. It's always with you, whatever you've got, unless you don't have your phone with you, it's always with you, and it's so efficient because you put something in one place, it's in the other two immediately. So Evernote's the perfect bucket. So let's talk a little bit about the GTD, or getting things done approach. The first step is to collect the things that command our attention, and then process those things, what they mean, and what we need to do about them. And I'm going to go to a graphic that's going to show actually a flow chart of how to do this. So number one, collect things that command our attention, process what they mean and what we need to do about them, organize the results, and then review the options for what we might do and decide the best course of action, and then, of course, just do it. So that sounds fairly simple and straightforward. That sounds fairly obvious, doesn't it? Yeah, but doing it is the issue and the problem for us. So going on to the next slide here, this is where David Allen, I think, really gets brilliant. He has a flow chart for us that, some people may look at this and go, oh, I hate flow charts, but this is really a great tool for getting things done. And in his book, of course, he explains things in much more detail than I am. I'm just trying to give you the high points. So something comes in, again, collect the things we need to do. Something comes in, whether it's an email, a phone call, your boss comes in, or a client calls up and wants you to do X, Y, or Z, or whatever, or your spouse calls and says, can you pick up lettuce at the grocery store, or whatever it might be. So the first thing you have to do when something hits you or comes in, is it actionable? In other words, do I have to do something about this or not? And hopefully, if the answer is no, you've actually got a couple of different things you can do. If the answer is no, and again, this really applies, if you stop and think about it, to emails. When you're going through your emails, if the answer is no, boom, trash, immediately. And one thing that he'll talk about also is don't look at your emails constantly. Set a time to look at your emails. And know that you've got to look at your emails between X and Y, and look at all your emails then and go through them as a group. That's something that I really struggle with. The thing goes beep, and I pick up my phone. Now, if you've got a deal, obviously a transaction or a client that's in a crisis situation and you're expecting, you need an answer on a transaction or a deadline's coming up, of course you check your email to see if that's coming up. But if that's not what it is, you don't look at the rest of them. You set a time to look at your emails, and a couple of times during the day probably. So again, using the example of emails, is it actionable? Is it something that I have to do something with or not? If it's not, if it's the ad from Zappos, don't even look at those boots, hit the trash and throw it into the trash. Or if you're really looking for some special boots or a present for your spouse because their birthday was yesterday and you forgot and you really need a present, that's fine. Take that same Zappos email and send it to Evernote to put in your reading file, so that when you get time and want to look at it, it's there. The point is, get it out of your face. Get it out of your face, because if you stop and think about it, if something might take 2 minutes to do, if you did it right then, if you spend 90 seconds thinking about it and then don't do it, and then 2 hours or 2 days later come back, you're going to have to spend another 90 seconds thinking about it, or almost 2 minutes, and then you decide not to do anything about it. Good grief, you could spend 2, 3, 4, 5 times the amount of time on that one item. So do it, do it, do it. That's one of the big keys. So if it's not actionable, trash it, get rid of it, get it out of your sight. If it's something that, let's say it's a seller's disclosure that's come in, and to complete the package, that would be what he would call reference. Get that into your Evernote, get it into DocuSign. When you've received that, whatever piece of item that you don't have to do anything with, you don't have to respond to that seller's disclosure. It's just completing the file. It's all clean, whatever it might be. Boom, throw that into reference. In this sense, that would be probably into your client's folder. So you've got that, you added it there. And then the someday would be the lowest priority, and that might be something that if you subscribe to some magazine and the electronic issue comes in and you want to read it, throw that in your reading file or your someday file. Or if it's something that you think you might like to do, I might like to sign up for the Big Producers class at some point in time. There's an interesting thing on that. Let me throw that into my reading file for someday. So actionable, not actionable. If it is actionable, then deal with it right away. And here's the key. This is the beauty of this thing that I absolutely love. If you look at that third blue box down, will it take less than 2 minutes? Do it right away. If the answer is yes, do it right away. So again, the middle step there is process it. If it's not actionable, you're not even worrying about it. If it's something that is actionable, process it. Meaning, okay, what do I have to do with this? If it takes less than 2 minutes, I'm going to do it right away. If it's something that has to do with a project, I'm going to put that into my project planning. Let's say that it's an inspection report that comes, an inspection response that comes in from a client. You're in the middle of your marketing calls for the morning, and you've made 5 calls and you've got 15 more calls to do, and you see that come in. Number one, you shouldn't be looking at your email then anyway, but let's say you do see that because you've been waiting for it. Put that into your project planning and deal with it later. Don't break away what you're doing to look at that right away. Now, look at the response time, and if you've got 5 days to respond to it, by all means, put it in your planning. Put something on your calendar, 3 o'clock, review inspection response with client, boom. And so you've got that taken care of in the bucket so that you're not forgetting it, and you move on to the next thing in your emails or whatever you're doing. So if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it, get done with it. If it doesn't take 2 minutes, it's going to take longer. Either delegate it if it's something that our staff can do for you. If it's something, we now have Stacy here doing transaction processing for us and transaction coordination for us, and agents are starting to use that. So that would be, you can delegate something to Stacy if you have an admin assistant, or if our own office, if your office has people who do certain things for you in terms of transactions, boom, delegate it, get rid of it, send it on to them, or defer it and put it on your calendar or on your hot list. He calls a hot list what I would refer to as that action agenda that he uses. So again, that's a quick review through that, and the book goes into much, much greater detail and makes it much more clear on how to work this. But I love the simple approach to this, how to process things to make the best use of our time and our energy. And all this folds into, both with Evernote and with getting things done, the concept of grabbing those big rocks first. I won't tell the story again. I've told it many times about, your big rocks are the most important things, your priorities. If you don't do your priorities first and you let other things get in the way, you will not get in that day to your big rocks, your priorities, because the other things will fill up the jar, the sand, the water, and the pebbles will typically fill up the jar. So the key is grab those big rocks first, and that's usually your marketing and your business development activities, and get those done first. And remember, it's first, not most. You will spend far more time doing the other activities, your business, your client relations, you are working with clients, buying and selling houses, et cetera, et cetera. But if you've got to do the big rocks first. So, habits and skills, building your business, the skill of integrating the Evernote system and the Getting Things Done system into your routine. Couple that with a habit of big rocks first, that the Getting Things Done approach will really help you do. and help you be able to do that. The key is to prioritize your day using Evernote and the getting things done focus. It's going to give you a greater attitude of confidence in knowing you are controlling your day, getting things done, and building your business. So that's the presentation for today, Evernote and getting things done. Anybody have any questions or comments there? Any chats or anything? If you have a question out there in radio land, go ahead and type it into the chat area down there. And again, I really encourage you, check this out. Check out Evernote. It's free to download. Give it a try. Call me up. Shoot me an email if you run into any problems. Happy to walk you through it in detail. As usual, with these things, you can't break it. So it's available to you there. And grab a copy of Getting Things Done. You can get probably a used copy of it at half-price books for probably $4 or $5. You can get it on Amazon as a Kindle book for probably $8 or $9, and it will be one of the best investments that you can make. So thanks, everybody, for joining us on Wednesday Wake Up for Evernote 101 and Getting Things Done. Take care.
So you need to download this on your computer first before you get it on.
Yes.
That's how you do it.
Yes, absolutely. So let me stop it.